Thank you for downloading the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. My name is Ronnie Edwards and I run Pomodzi Creatives, which hosts the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth Awards. These awards mark International Women's Day through a nomination process where anyone can be nominated for being inspirational, regardless of their context. The project also raises money for the rape counselling service Parks. This series gives us a chance to get to know some of the women who were nominated for the awards. I hope you enjoy them. So I'm here with Grainne, and I'm just laughing at myself because I'm rubbish at pronouncing your name, so I do apologise, Grainne.
That is absolutely fine.
Thank you for joining me on the podcast. So this is the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. It's quite unusual in that we're in the middle of a lockdown, which means that I can't do the podcast the way I would have liked to have done. And we've got this Zoom, this really surreal Zoom podcast interview thing going. But Grainne was a finalist in the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth project. And she was recognised as a finalist in the arts category. And I'm just going to read, Grainne, can I call you G?
Yes, do that.
I'm
more comfortable with that as well.
I'm just going to read out this lovely little bit of text that was said about you as part of the nomination process. It's so lovely. Since being part of Neptune Girls, this person has made me grow in confidence and has made me feel part of a great family. She helps others to feel amazing about themselves. And this person always talks to new people when joining a class. She made me want to come back to other classes and courses. It's nice to look back and see how people grow in confidence and self-worth, all because of this lovely lady. She is inspiring because you can tell that she loves helping others, and she does this because she enjoys it, not because she has to. So thank you, Grainne. Isn't that lovely?
That gets me emotional hearing that.
So that's what I was living for. Like, I wanted to be in a world where I just get opportunities to encourage people to celebrate each other. So that kept me going.
It's really so special.
So that's what one person said about you, and this person was obviously, like, in terms of the project, it was about you being part of this tribe of people that really recognised how inspirational you are. But how would you describe yourself? What three words maybe would you say describes you the best?
So it's always a hard one to describe yourself nicely, isn't it? Like, I try, like, I consciously make an effort, obviously, to pick nice words and sort of loving words, because we are so critical of ourselves. But one that I would definitely say, and one that people describe me of is I'm quite a positive person. I do struggle sometimes, but I always try to think, the glass is half full as opposed to half empty. Yeah. And it's not always the easiest, but it definitely makes a difference on my outlook. I would say that I'm loving within hopefully all of my relationships. And then another one that I sort of pride myself on is that I'm trustworthy. Because I think that that's also really important to be within all your relationships, that I suppose people can come to you and feel like there's an element of trust there as well.
That is such a rare, valuable attribute to have. Thank you for sharing that. And it doesn't hurt to celebrate yourself as well, does it?
I know. We need to do more of it. That's why you're doing this.
I'm here. So how did you get to where you are then? Tell us about your adventure in terms of getting to Neptune Girls and having the role that you have, which is you're one of the dance teachers of Neptune Girls, aren't you? And you're my teacher as well.
Yay! Which is obviously the best role ever.
You make my Monday nights awesome.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. So long story short, because we could be here for days, but long story short, nearly 6 years ago now, I moved to Portsmouth from living in Ireland and be with my now husband. And I had danced my whole life. I was a stage girl, I was in the pantomimes, I'd done baton twirling, like anything that got me dancing and performing was where you would find me. Yeah. Oh, literally. And like then when I became a late teen, and I suppose people stopped attending hobbies and dance lessons, and my friends stopped, I then moved to go into the teaching element. So stopped performing myself, but then taught within my stage school and hip hop dance school, and like really, really enjoyed teaching people. It was obviously mainly kids, but we did do some side projects with adults, so that was great.
Yeah.
When I decided to move, it was always the one thing that I thought, right, I don't know why, obviously I've learned differently now, but looking back, I remember at the time thinking, right, you're growing up now. I was 24 and you just need to leave that hobby behind, essentially, is what I said to myself. You need to get a proper job, and I'm doing air commas there because obviously I need to get a proper job, and that was just what was going to happen. So I didn't dance. I stopped dancing for 2 whole years when I moved here. For one reason, obviously, was that I didn't know where I could go, and then secondly, there actually wasn't anywhere for me to go. Obviously, when you look at the map, you think, oh, just go to London every weekend, but it's actually not that practical.
It's that tricky adult category of dance.
I was like, I don't want to dance with kids. I also didn't want to just go to someone and be like, can I teach? Because obviously I grew up at that stage girl that I was with. I'd been there for like 20 years. So they knew me and I knew them, but I didn't want to just rock up somewhere, because you also doubt yourself as well. Like, who am I? Like, I've got no credentials, like nobody knows me. So randomly, like 2 years after living in the UK, I started to notice that the Neptune girls, or to me it was this dance group, are popping up on my Facebook and my social medias.
Okay.
And it was as if, like, I kept thinking, I want a dance class that's for people my age that does like commercial style, Beyonce style dancing. And it was as if I had like posted this myself, and I was like, wait, is that real, or is this like, you know when your phone listens to you and records what you're thinking sometimes? And I was like, nah, that's not real. And I admittedly, I watched it for a few weeks, and probably about 4 weeks I watched before I actually thought, right, you know what, go for it. Turned up to my first lesson on my own, didn't know what to do, what to expect. And I just remember, because I lived close enough at the time to walk to the box, and it was August, so it was nice and sunny. And I remember walking there and walking home, and I could guarantee if you crossed me on them 2 different walks, you would think it was a different person. Because 100%, I felt like I walked differently leaving the studio. Like completely, the rest is history. After 6 months, Ariane asked, it was myself and Olivia at the time, if we'd like to train on as teachers, and that just grew within classes and lessons. And now obviously we're performance team captains, and I still dance with Neptune girls, but I also get obviously thankfully teach as well. So it's just been so massive, and it's such a big part of my journey, especially this part of my life living in the UK.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. I love that. I love how you're kind of talking about how felt like you were a different person walking to the studio and coming back. Was that with Carly Ann, that first lesson?
Yeah, Carly Ann. I still remember it. We did burlesque, and I remember like recognizing people in the class. Like one of my first classes, Kat, who's in our team, was in one of my first classes, and you just recognize these people. And to look back now and think like, and I stood in the back in the right hand corner, and I was so aware of myself. And although I was like a dancer, them 2 years off really like knocked me, and I didn't pick it up as quick as I thought I would, and I wasn't as comfortable or as confident. But oh my God, it was just the start of this very exciting adventure.
And I feel so privileged to be part of that adventure in terms of you being my teacher. And I would say you're so gifted in enabling others.
Thank you.
Because one of the slight challenges a dance teacher has, if they're like amazing dancers, they don't always cross over to being amazing dance teachers, because they kind of lose sight of everyone else around them. That help. And they will move and look beautiful, but don't always maybe know how to enable other people to move and look beautifully. And you're quite holistic in it. You're like, when people walk in, you always when I walk in late, you're always like, hi. Yes.
I love the way you try to like skulk in, and I'm like, there you are.
I'll try to sneak in like I'm doing mid-stretch. Like as I come to the like, I see you go. But like I've noticed a couple of times when somebody has actually been for a different reason really emotionally distraught, and you picked up on it, and you kind of just really held them and kept them safe in it, which is such a gift, a real gift to have. So I can bear witness to how amazing you are.
Oh,
So
you're so sweet.
Who do you think has been the most influential person in your career?
So in my career,
who's really influenced you?
It's probably like twofold. So career, so like I've had numerous different jobs, and like in the last few months, I've also changed in the sense that I quit. I don't like the word quit. I stopped working my full-time job to give myself a bit of a change and sort of figure out what I wanted to do next, but whilst also continuing, thankfully, to be able to work with Neptune Girls. So at the moment in this career stage that I'm at, definitely and 100% be Carly Ann, who is obviously the founder of Neptune Girls, and one of my really good friends, thankfully. Just her ethos and her, I suppose, view on things. Like I message Carly as a friend as anyone else would, but the advice and her outlook on things is just tenfold. Like it just, she just has a way, and you know Carly really well as well, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, but she just has a way of explaining things and I suppose helping you come to a decision yourself without telling you the answer, if that makes sense. Like she just gets it. And I'd say then personally, which I've only realised this in the last few years, which is really naughty of me because I'm nearly 30 now, but it would 100% be my mum. And I would never have given her credit for that. Like I would have always thought, oh yeah, mum, okay, whatever. Like, you know, stop trying to tell me what to do or how to do things. But now when I look back, I'm like, you actually never once told me what to do, but you planted the seed ever so indirectly, and that ended up obviously being the right course or the right path to take. So now I actually purposely go, I'm like, I have a problem or I'm stuck in something, and I'll purposely go to my mum and say, I need your advice. Whereas before, she would have tried and I wouldn't have necessarily taken it on board. So yeah, she's definitely amazing.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Yay to your mum. I love the way you say that, mum.
I know, my mammy.
I must apologise. I don't know if you ever find that offensive. I love the way you say 3 as well. And I notice every so often I'm like, I wonder how I can get G to say the word 3.
Sometimes people just ask me outright. They're like, can you just say the number after like the number 2? And I'm like, what, 3? And they're like, what's that? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm being pumped.
So within that whole like influence and kind of being inspired by people, do you have like a moment in your life adventure where you overcame an obstacle that you could share with us? I mean, it could be like a practical one or like an emotional one. Like, is there something? Because I'm borderline obsessed with stories about overcoming.
Yeah.
And how I feel like it's something we really need to get in our culture more is those examples of actually I overcame this, I got past this. Is there anything that you feel you'd be able to share with us?
Yeah, like it's another, like, I don't know. I'm now, like I say, coming into my 30s, and I look back when I was like in my early 20s, and if I could bottle the confidence that I had in my late teens to early 20s and sell that, like that would make me millions, because I just thought I knew everything, and I thought I'd all figured out, and like I was nearly probably being a little bit harsh with myself and sort of not allowing myself to appreciate that maybe it wasn't as easy as I wanted certain things to be.
Yeah.
One specific example being obviously moving countries. At the time, I prepared myself for moving practically, but I don't think I prepared myself emotionally. And I knew that I was
family as well, aren't you?
Yeah, literally my whole family are obviously still living in Ireland. I met Nate and we did a year's long distance. But we knew early on within the first few months of doing that the end site would be that I would move. And although like I'm like one of them, I'm like, you can't move in with somebody you don't even know him. At the same time, I was like, for us to actually give this relationship a proper go, we will need to do that quite early on, even though it's a bit drastic. So I was the one that was going to move countries, and I was like, it's fine. I've visited like every second month. I know where I'm going to live. I know people that Nate know, and it is what it is. Like I've had friends that have moved away, and you know it's fine. But I did not prepare myself for that, how that was going to feel at all, and it took a good, I'd say 2.5 to coming up to 3 years for me to actually feel like I'd settled. and I thought it would happen within months, and I really feel like I did myself a disjustice in just not allowing myself to feel. It was probably because as well as that, you know, you've got all the doubts where people are saying like, are you crazy? You're moving countries to be with this boy that you don't really know. And obviously I knew him, but we hadn't obviously lived together, and we'd gone from seeing each other, like I say, maybe once a month. We usually did 4 to 5 weeks, to then living in each other's pockets. I was going to move in with Nate in his mum and his stepdad's house. And so literally we were going to obviously be sharing his bedroom. So to go from being so completely away from each other to then be in each other's pockets. But I didn't want to obviously let people know that I was scared, because I think I didn't want people to give me their opinions either, because I didn't need the doubt or the worry. So that was massive. And I had to then go through it here, which it would have been so much easier to just prepare myself when I was at home with my friends, my family, and talk things through. But hindsight's a great thing.
Isn't it?
But I suppose all I did was I just had to then speak to people. I had to ring family a bit more, and things like, I don't know why I gave myself this idea that I'd come home to visit every 3 times a year. That's what I said. I was like, I'll be home every few months, whatever. I've lived here nearly 6 years, and I probably go home about 6 or 7 times a year, if not more at the moment. And I don't know why I thought I could only do a certain amount. Like, it's an hour's flight. We could afford the flights as long as we had the annual leave. But I kept trying to make this big adjustment that that's it now. My life is here, and, you know, that would be my previous life, and I'd see family and stuff. But I still very much feel 50-50 that I've got as much of my life here as I do at home. And I just had to allow myself to keep that part of me, I think.
Hold that space, just fine, So would you say there was anyone in particular that you really felt helped you work that through then? Or do you think there's just a whole range of people?
Obviously family and friends, and thankfully Nate's family and friends as well. And like, they properly just took me under their wing. But this is not planned, by the way, but 100%, if you asked Nate, I could call him now, if you asked him what do you think helped with our relationship and that whole transition, we would both say the Neptune girls.
Oh,
because like I said earlier on, that was such a massive part of who I am and what I love to do. And just sort of such a love that I have for dancing and teaching and being around like-minded people, that when I didn't have that, I was probably a bit of a shell of myself. I had my job and I had Nate, and then that was it. And I was a bit like, what's the point? Why have I moved over here to just work and essentially wait around for my boyfriend, which obviously I didn't mind doing, but at the same time I was like, this isn't me. I'm very independent. I like to have my own friends. I like to have my own things. So if I could, like, without going into detail, like, we had a massive pivotal moment in our relationship in April 2016, where I ended up actually having to fly home, literally booked the flight, and an hour later I was on it, and crisis talks around the kitchen table with my mom, like, what am I going to do? What's going on? What's going to happen? And that August was when I started Neptune Girls. And then the following April, we got engaged. And my mom said to me, can you remember 12 months ago? And I was like, no, what happened 12 months ago? She was like, you're sat here crying because you thought you and Nate were going to break up. She said, and obviously we did our own work separately, but I think a massive part of that was I became myself, because he'd sometimes say, like, he's like, you're not really the person that I fell in love with, or you're not the person that you were when we started. And I couldn't figure out what he meant. Obviously looking back, I'm like, that's what it was. I didn't have that light. I didn't have that love. I didn't have that part of me. It was missing massively. So we always credit the Neptune Girls for, like, not saving our relationship, but being a massive influence in continuing, and obviously thankfully then getting engaged and getting married.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear.
I know.
Oh my goodness. I would love to unpack that a little bit more, but let's move on. So you've kind of moved in from another country, even into Portsmouth. What would you say? Because that's my other thing. Is I love hearing what people think about the city, and how we can celebrate it. So, what would you say Portsmouth's biggest strength is as a city?
I think it's the people. I'd never heard of Portsmouth before, by the way, until I moved here. I don't know how, but where I'm not into football, I never knew where. I didn't even know where it was. I couldn't have picked it out on a map. So I obviously came in with a completely open mind, had never heard of it before. And I just always thought there was just such an array of different people, and all unique and all different and all from different areas and different walks of life, but all in this one quite condensed place. And it's electric.
Isn't it? Yeah,
like it's really nice. I remember like when I'd come over to visit and we'd walk down even Commercial Road or walk through Gun Wharf, and it was just so, you'd just see every age range, every type of people, like just out and about, and you get such a vibe and a feeling off that. And I just think the people and everyone's different stories and backgrounds, even though you don't know them, you can just tell. It's just so interesting to watch. And I'm not from a city either, so I know that's one of the really good thing of a city is that you get that. But I just really like, just a different type of people that, and I've come in contact with. Obviously, I've had to meet all these people myself, and just the type of people that I get to meet who live in Portsmouth and who may not be from Portsmouth but are here now and call Portsmouth their home. And I just love that I've got to meet them.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And is there anything within that you think, oh, it's a shame that this is a part of what Portsmouth is? Is there like a?
I think it's just, I don't know if it's an outsider perspective because I've not travelled much within the UK and stuff. But I think whether it's people of Portsmouth themselves or people maybe in the just outer region is perception of Portsmouth. Because people always do the whole, such and such, that's very like a Portsmouth girl, or you sound like a Portsmouth boy or whatever. And I'm like, that's a stereotype that I've never actually come across. Like there's this, they fit into this box, but I'm like, I've never met the typical Portsmouth girl. Like, and I don't know why there's this perception of how these people are, because everyone that I've met have been like so different. There's not two people that are the same. So I think it's just a perception of it, which thankfully things that you're doing will hopefully change it, and I suppose change people's way of thinking. I think as well, I've seen this meme so many times, I've been tagged in it, where people say like, when you live in Ireland, and I think this could work in Portsmouth, when you live in Ireland you're like, I hate this place, it's so boring, there's nothing to do. And then as soon as you move countries, you're like, I'm from the Emerald Isle where everyone is gorgeous and the grass is green. And you just have this like love of where you're from, because you feel like you're representing it. And I think that if people travelled out of Portsmouth, they would do that. I think when you're inside, you don't necessarily see the beauty of it. But that's definitely one of the things.
Oh, that's a funny perception. So here's a question. Do you think you are kind to yourself?
I would say sometimes. It's not, I can't give a definitive. I think I'm learning to be kinder, which I think is a constant journey anyway. But I would say I believe in myself, but I then allow the doubt to creep in and say, you can do that, but you shouldn't, or you can't do that now, or you can do it, but you won't do it very well. So I've got that where I know I can do whatever I want and be whoever I want, but then I do allow that doubt sometimes to creep in.
So to me, you are the epitome of like somebody who knows themselves really well and is a combination of being really kind to themselves and really brave. Just in terms of the way you were like, just chose to journey through leaving your job. That's really brave. And that there's got to be an element of where you kind of need to know yourself really well and be kind to yourself. And
I looked at that though, I didn't think of that as brave though. It wasn't until people actually started saying it to me afterwards, like, you've done something really brave, and I was like, or stupid, and they were like, no, brave. And I was like, you know, where you sort of think, oh, like I was nearly embarrassed when people were like, and where, like I was like, I'm leaving the job or whatever. I was telling people I've handed in my notice, I'm leaving, and they were like, and where are you going? And I felt embarrassed that I couldn't say nowhere. But now looking back, I'm like, I'm actually really glad that I didn't just leave the job to go somewhere else because I wasn't happy. I'm glad that I was, I suppose, like say, brave and strong enough to be like, I'm not happy here, and I'm just going to go with it and just do that.
I think that's brilliant, and I think that.
Thank you.
That's a lot of people could do a little bit. If you could bottle that, you'd make a lot of money.
Strong-headedness.
So we're nearly at the end of our time together, but I just curious, because just on the whole thing of being brave and kind to yourself, if I was to give you a challenge of learning something new, and then touch base with you like a year from now, what would that be?
I think, I'd hope I could do it in a year. I think it would be to actually just like be more intentional with what I do, and in that's like making time for myself.
Be more intentional. I love that.
Yeah, because like I say at the moment I'm navigating through loads of changes, and personally and professionally and stuff, which I'm really enjoying. But when I look back, say on what did I do last week or last month or in the last 6 months, I know that I could have been a little bit more intentional to make sure that my weeks were sort of what I wanted them to be. So I know I always get everything done, like sometimes by the skin of my teeth, but I get everything done, but at what cost? Because I might say, right, on Sunday, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to spend time, watching things that I want to watch. But because I haven't been intentional Monday to Saturday, I don't, and things fall into my time. And that's time that I will never question giving up, which I'm like, actually, that should be a non-negotiable. I shouldn't have to. That should be as important as the other stuff that I need to do as such. So yeah, I think being more intentional with my time and how I'm giving myself the care, and I suppose the self-care that's really important and needed.
And inspiration.
Oh, thanks, Ronnie.
Well, thank you so much, lady, for your time.
No, thank you for having me.
It's all been a bit surreal, hasn't it, in this lockdown podcast version? But yeah, really appreciate your time. And I will be seeing you on the dance floor soon.
Oh, well, good luck. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for downloading the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. My name is Ronnie Edwards and I run Pomodzi Creatives, which hosts the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth Awards. These awards mark International Women's Day through a nomination process where anyone can be nominated for being inspirational, regardless of their context. The project also raises money for the rape counselling service Parks. This series gives us a chance to get to know some of the women nominated for the awards. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you for downloading the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. My name is Ronnie Edwards and I run Pomodzi Creatives, which hosts the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth Awards. These awards mark International Women's Day through a nomination process where anyone can be nominated for being inspirational, regardless of their context. The project also raises money for the rape counselling service Parks. This series gives us a chance to get to know some of the women who were nominated for the awards. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you for downloading the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth podcast. My name is Ronnie Edwards and I run Pomodzi Creatives, which hosts the Inspirational Women of Portsmouth Awards. These awards mark International Women's Day through a nomination process where anyone can be nominated for being inspirational, regardless of their context. The project also raises money for the rape counselling service Parks. This series gives us a chance to get to know some of the women nominated for the awards. I hope you enjoy them.